I'm going to do a PSA to young women. If you think that you are dating a hot, sexy, older man who makes his own money and has it together and he's 32 and you're 21, let me tell you fucking something. You think that you're smart, and I'm sure you are, baby girl, but you're not smart enough. And you will look back when you're 28 and you will say, ew. What was I doing? And you will say, if I knew a man this age dating a girl that young, I would slap him back and forth. And I hate to break it to you because I've done it and she's done it. And I heard women tell me the same thing and I rolled my eyes, but I'm going to tell you now. And you roll your eyes all you want. You're going to look back and you're going to say, ew.
I'm 21. I met this guy and we got in a relationship when I was around 18. And
this may be controversial, but I have to say it. You're in an age gap relationship in your early 20s, not a 60-year-old woman. If you're in your early 20s and you're with someone 18, 25, 30 years older than you, someone speaking from experience who was with someone 18 years older than her, ask yourself why.
This is just a PSA to my girls in their early 20s in the service industry, like age 20 to 24. Please be careful with like the late 20s to early 30s guys that you work with that try to get at you.
I can't imagine your disappointment in finding an older guy, expecting him to be emotionally mature, and it turns out he has the mindset of a toddler.
A lot of these women are not going to tell you the truth, and I don't know why, but I'm going to tell you the truth. You're going to date an older guy. He's going to burn out all your youth.
Latinos, we need to stop normalizing young teenage girls dating older dudes.
If you're in your 20s and there's a man that's in his 50s that wants to date you, you have to think to yourself, why does he want to date someone that's old enough to be his daughter?
I'm 18. I was dating a 40-year-old for about 7 months. And I really liked the relationship. It just took a really different turn when he tried to kind of be controlling and, change into a different person.
When I was 16, I dated a 24-year-old man.
Women, they don't actually care about money. They don't care how tall you are. They don't care how you're dripping. They don't care how you can dance. Women care about your personality. That's it.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Unfiltered For You Stories. If it is your first time here, you're most welcome. And if you're a returning viewer, thank you so much for coming back. So today we are having another reaction from TikTok clips of women sharing some of the challenges of dating older men as a younger woman. This topic always goes viral because people have very strong opinions. Some people say love is love. Others say date whoever you want to date. Age is just a number. And other people are like, nope, there are too many red flags. So instead of agreeing or disagreeing, we are going to watch people who have experienced dating older men when they were younger. They are going to share some of the challenges that they went through while in an age gap relationship. So let's watch these clips together, then we shall react. And as always, your thoughts are most welcome in the comments. So without wasting a lot of time, hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and let's get started.
I'm 21. I met this guy and we got in a relationship when I was around 18, and he's significantly older than me. He gave me a business idea, started my business. He's really awesome. He's very kind, supportive, but at the same time, he has a business too. His business is more established than mine. So I work on his business, pack the orders and do the kind of stuff, bookkeeping and stuff. And he always makes me feel like I'm not doing enough all the time. And I feel like I'm doing so much. I cook, I clean, I take care of my house.
How old is he and how old are you?
I'm 21 and he's 52.
Oh, heck no. If he's 52 and you're 21, you shouldn't even have to lift a finger. It's a privilege for him to even breathe your air, Maya.
Wow.
It's a privilege for him to even... Do you see yourself? Maya, are we looking at the same person right now?
Oh, you're so sweet. Thank you.
Maya, you're 21 and he's 52. You shouldn't even have to pack anything. You should be sipping majas, lemon drops, getting your hair done every week, your nails done every week. Your passion should be a hobby at this point. It's a no.
Right. Yeah, I know. I don't even have to go any deeper into it. I get it and I understand what you're saying. I've talked to my mom a little about it, but like her and I, we're close, but at the same time, we're like a little distant because of some things. But
I'm not done, Miss Maya. Hold on.
oh, okay.
No, listen, I really don't approve such a huge age gap, but you are a grown young lady and you can make your decisions. And since this is the choice you're making, you shouldn't be doing that much. He has a young spring chicken who's beautiful, barely needs a stitch of makeup, doesn't need a bra, okay? Okay, gravity hasn't set in, okay? So if he's allowed access to all your beauty, which is a privilege, you shouldn't even have to do a thing. You understand what I'm saying, Miss Maya?
Yeah, I get what you mean. I think I overcompensate sometimes with like effort because I'm a Taurus and I always like feel like I have to earn my space anywhere I'm in, like no matter what. And so I felt like, oh, that's justified. But and I hear you saying like teaching women like accept what they're deserving of in a way instead of like feeling like they have to do so much just to hold space, you know? Your message is beautiful, so thank you so much for sharing it.
Yes, Miss Maya is 21 and gorgeous. The world is your oyster. You're not even a queen, you a princess. At 21, you can be called a princess and get actual princess treatment. And he knows that you don't know your worth. That's why he's taking advantage of it. Because at 50, he can see right through you.
A lot of these women are not going to tell you the truth, and I don't know why. But I'm going to tell you the truth. You're going to date an older guy. He's going to burn out all your youth, only to tell you in your late 20s, when you're ready to settle down and be married, he's not trying to get married because he's already been married. Don't date based off of age. Date based off of experience and stability. Because a man could be 45, 50 and not be stable. While a man is 20-something, he got it all going on.
This may be controversial, but I have to say it. You're in an age gap relationship in your early 20s, not a 60-year-old woman. If you're in your early 20s and you're with someone 18, 25, 30 years older than you, someone speaking from experience who was with someone 18 years older than her, ask yourself why women their own age aren't dating them. And you'll find that the younger you are, the more you don't know yourself, the more easily manipulated you can be, got no boundaries, don't know how to speak up for yourself. And although life may be amazing and there's love there, I'm not doubting that for you. But when you become the age that he was when he started dating you, ask yourself, what business did you have dating someone so young?
This is just a PSA to my girls in their early 20s in the service industry, like age 20 to 24. Please be careful with like the late 20s to early 30s guys that you work with that try to get at you. Be very careful. I'm talking specifically to early 20s women because once we get out of that like 16 to 21 age range, you start to see yourself as like a young woman and you start to think that your dating pool's opened up and you get to date all these like older guys and that you're all in the same age group and you know, this kind of thing. But that's not the reality. To these older guys, they see you guys all the same. They see you all as the young, pretty hot things that they want to get at. I had a job once when I was like 22 and I had a manager that I ended up going out on a date with. And he was 10 years older than me, you guys. 10 years. Things kind of like faded out because I left the job and also because I realized that I actually was not interested in him at all. He was just there every day and I thought I was interested in him, but I was not. Tell me why I find out through the grapevine after I left that job that he was going around asking people about my 19-year-old coworker and asking, is she interested in me? Do you think she would go for me? 32-year-old man asking about a 19-year-old girl. That was when it clicked for me that this guy had Peter Pan syndrome and just liked young girls and that I was a young girl to him. I don't know why it didn't click for me. For some reason, I assumed that because I was in my early 20s and I was no longer in my teens and I was like out of that 16 to 21-year-old range, I felt that I had stepped into the adult world and that my dating pool would reflect that and that there was nothing wrong with me dating a man in his 30s. Boy, was I fucking wrong because this same man was now going after a 19-year-old girl. That was when I was like, okay, so this guy's a weirdo. He was a weirdo when he went after her, but he was also a weirdo for coming after me. This actually happened with another coworker at a different job that I dated who was a couple years older than me. I was early 20s and he was late 20s. After I left that job and ended things with him, he also ended up going after a coworker who wasn't even 20 years old. late 20s man, 19-year-old girl. What could you possibly have in common with this girl? It never occurred to me that if these older guys could come after me, that they could also go after women younger than me. I thought that I was like the cutoff. Like, oh, I won't go younger than her. She's, early 20s. Like, I'll only do older. No. They're going after you. They're going after the 21-year-old, the 20-year-old, 19, 18. I do think it's just a really severe case of Peter Pan syndrome, because when you're in the service industry, everyone is doing the exact same thing. Everyone is doing the same job. You're all servers and bartenders and cooks. Whether you're in your teens or in your late 40s, you're all doing the same thing. You're all going out together after work to get drinks because that's who's available to hang out with you. And then you clock in and go do it again the next day. So what happens when you're in the service industry and you're an older man in your late 20s, early 30s, surrounded by young women in their late teens and early 20s, is you think that they are up for grabs, but they're not. They shouldn't be. They are, like, in reality, but they really shouldn't be. And I just want to caution all of you, like, all of you women, especially in your early 20s. I feel like the teens, I feel like you guys know to stay away from these guys. But early 20s, you should be careful about dating at work in general. But try not to go more than a couple years older. Like, I want to say, like, try to stick within, like, 3 years older. Because anything older, you kind of run the risk of this guy just liking young girls. And it could get weird. Like, don't be like me and go out with your manager who's 10 years older than you. That was fucking crazy. I don't know what possessed me to do that. It's really crazy how much growth happens in your 20s, because I'm 24 now. I was dating men so much older than me at only 22. And I would never do that today. Like, the same year, I also went out with a guy who was like 38. I don't think I would do that today, because there's nothing a 38-year-old man can do for me. Sprinkle Sprinkle was big during this time, so I think that contributed to me thinking it was okay. No, it's weird. Just be careful. That's all.
I can't imagine your disappointment in finding an older guy expecting him to be emotionally mature, and it turns out he has the mindset of a toddler. You thought you were upgrading. 35 years old, steady job, drives a sedan, orders wine without looking confused, and then he hits you with, I just don't like labels. My ex was crazy. Sorry I ghosted you. I'm in a weird headspace. Sir, you are 37. You own air fryers and wrinkle cream. Why are you emotionally regressing? He's out here using phrases like my truth and the energy shift instead of just apologizing. Meanwhile, you're doing emotional gymnastics just to get a grown man to text back without emojis. You wanted a partner with emotional intelligence, and you got a man who thinks communication means sending a meme after disappearing for 3 days. You got a man who needs praise every time he expresses a basic feeling. You got a man who says, let's not put pressure on it, like commitment is a mortgage. At this point, age isn't really a green flag anymore. It's just more time he's had to not grow up.
Latinos, we need to stop normalizing young teenage girls dating older dudes. I know this happens in other cultures too, but I'm just speaking in my experience being Afro-Latina myself, that it's definitely common to be 13, 14 years old. And if you're allowed to have a boyfriend and they're 20, 21, it's okay. It's a pass, because let's be honest, that is a normalized thing in our culture. Obviously, we just seen all over the news how Celeste Hernandez was chopped up in the back of a Tesla, rest in peace. And all fingers are pointing at her older boyfriend that she had at that time. So she was 13 and he was 17 years old. When they found her body, she's 15 and he's now 20. I think no one's really talking about like the fact that she's a young girl dating a guy that was 5 years older than her. I mean, let's just talk about Mexican culture having quinceañeras. The whole origin of a quinceañera was that now it's a coming of age party for a girl and now she's a woman. At 15, we're saying that girls are now a woman. And you know why? Because back in Mexico, they would marry girls off at that age. My mom married my dad when she was 15 years old. My dad was 23. Nobody batted an eye. When I was younger myself and I was like 14, 15, I was getting attention from dudes, from older dudes, they were already 18, 19. And it was like, as long as they were seen like as a good kid, no one batted an eye. They're like, oh, that's a good kid. He's, it doesn't matter if he's 5, 6 years older. Like, no, let's actually be honest. This guy is a pedophile and a predator. The teenager, your mind isn't fully developed, obviously. You don't really know a lot about things with just the human experience yet because you haven't had that much to experience. So you're mental capacity of understanding this is probably a red flag isn't going off because you're a young girl and you're like, wow, look at all this attention. It's an attention thing. When you're a girl, it is an attention thing. Like, oh my gosh, I have an older dude trying to talk to me. Like, oh my God, look at me. And it's like, there's no blame to the girl in that aspect because you don't know what's going on. You don't know how that's actually predatory. But somebody should be telling you that that is very predatory. As a person that's in my later 20s, to look back and think about all these guys who were showing me attention and stuff when I was 14, 13, 15, and they were already 19, 20, 21, I'm just like, they're so weird. If you think you're the only girl they're talking to when you're little and you're in that experience with like an older dude, it's usually not the case. They're usually playing around with all these other little girls, and it's honestly disgusting. Also, let's also tie it into religion, because I saw a lot of girls my age when we hit 18 get married to older dudes in our religion, because also you want to get married so you don't have sex before marriage, right? You don't want to commit that sin. So now I see not only is it a Latino thing, but it's also a religious thing being combined for this reason of being like, okay, well, she needs to get married so she doesn't commit any sins, and it's okay if she marries an older dude, and it just gets normalized even in religion. Unfortunately, it does. It's all ways. It doesn't even matter what religion you are. This is very common, right? And this is probably from all different types of ethnicities and cultures where things like this are going on. Again, I'm just speaking from my experience, but protect your children, protect your daughters, protect your son. We really need to stop normalizing this exchange of dating and like allowing our kids, young daughters, to date these older men. Like it just shouldn't be normalized at that young age. And I know when you get mentally mature and things are different, and then the age gap isn't as big of a deal when you're older because you're an adult now, but as a kid, I do think it's a very big deal. I do think it needs to be spoken about, and I do think we as a Latino household need to really start changing the narrative with your families, with your kids, about how that's really just not okay.
I'm 18. I was dating a 40-year-old for about 7 months. And I really liked the relationship. It just took a really different turn when he tried to kind of be controlling and, change into a different person. It just kind of turned toxic after a while. And I just want possible to be salvaged, if the relationship could be saved. No. Okay.
Back on 18 and 40. What would a 40-year-old man want with an 18-year-old girl? I know you're beautiful. You think you're very mature. I'm telling you, baby girl, you're not as mature.
I have to learn a lot.
Yes. You're not as mature as you think you are, That's too far of an age gap. That's just too far of an age gap. And that controlling thing can turn into hitting and grabbing and shoving. Yeah.
They could have went there. He actually showed me a certificate of a domestic abuse class that he had to take in the past, and he was like, he didn't hit her.
He has a piece of paper that says he hits women and he has no self-control. That means it got to a point where he could potentially have unalived the person. And what you're telling me is you're going to put yourself in harm's way, and I don't like the sound of that, baby love. How many options you have as an 18-year-old young lady, as beautiful as you are, and you want someone 40 with a piece of paper? That therapy.
And he had 2 kids.
No.
But, yeah.
These older men will sit there and play with you. They know that you're less experienced.
If you're in your 20s and there's a man that's in his 50s that wants to date you, you have to think to yourself, why does he want to date someone that's old enough to be his daughter? He shouldn't even want to entertain someone that's young enough to be his child. There are a lot of older men taking advantage of younger girls, especially if they have a good finance. Some older men will use their money as a tool, especially if they can introduce you to a certain type of lifestyle. And there's also men that go for younger women because they want to relive their youth. So they try to live it through the younger partner. Oftentimes, when a guy is dating a girl that's that young, they don't have any good intentions. You'll find that a lot of guys go into these relationships because it's easier to manipulate a younger woman. Now, this isn't always the case when an older guy dates a younger woman, but you have to be careful if you are interested in an older guy. I know you may view them as more mature, more experienced, and have better finance, but you have to think to yourself, is it really worth it? Especially if you want kids and you want to build a certain type of future.
When I was 16, I dated a 24-year-old man. And throughout my entire, younger years of life, I always had older men telling me that I was mature for my age. I always looked a lot older than I was, and I was well spoken, I guess. But you are not mature for your age. Your brain is not even fully developed until you're like 25, 26. And now at 30, I look back and I'm like, that is so freaky and creepy and predatory. When I was 19, I dated a 30-year-old for 6 years. That man groomed me. He knew that at 19 years old, I was naive. Men like that are not dating you because you're mature for your age or because, you guys have so much in common. No, they are grooming you because you are naive. And you may think that you're grown, right? Like even now at 30, I'm like, I know that I'm not grown. But when you're in that mindset, when you're younger, when you don't know better, you really believe those things that those guys are telling you. And it's creepy, it's predatory. I know many men around my age, and I just look at them when they're dating much younger women. Like, you just can't get somebody your age because your tricks and your games and your schemes and your manipulation don't work on women your age because they have gone through that already. So now you have to date a woman who is much younger than you, a girl, so that you can groom her, manipulate her, make her do the things that you want to do, and do whatever you want to do to get one over on her. And in the process of that, you're destroying the confidence, the worldview of a young girl. It's not right. It is so wrong. And I think about it now. Even my little sister, she's like 20 years old. If she was dating a 30-year-old guy, absolutely not. Not gonna happen.
Most of those reasons are really genuine, and you can relate if you've ever been in an age gap relationship. Most of the challenges have been shared or mentioned by these creators, so I will also just be highlighting some of them and maybe give a deeper explanation about what they have shared. Power imbalance is actually a very big issue, and people really get defensive about it. When you are younger and dating someone significantly older, there is always a power difference. Of course, it doesn't mean abuse automatically, but it does mean that one person has more experience, more money, more confidence, and sometimes more social influence. And the problem here is power doesn't only show up aggressively. Sometimes it shows up quietly. It looks like them always deciding on what to do, where you go, or what is best for you. So if your voice slowly matters less because they have been through more, that is not a partnership. That is a hierarchy. Someone also talked something related to the stages of life, like you are in different stages of life and maybe different timing. This part is huge and honestly underrated. A younger woman might be in her exploration era, figuring out who she is, changing careers, traveling, making friends, trying new things, while an older man might already be in his settling down era. So he might want stability, predictability, or someone who fits into an already established life. And that is where the question comes in. Are you growing into your life or shrinking to fit into his? And the way these women are sharing, you can really relate to that. Some of them went through these very things like so well. Then also there is control, which is disguised as protection. Someone there shared about older men being more controlling. Sometimes they may not show it, but when they tell you this is what you need to do, controlling is the sneakiest one because it doesn't feel toxic at first. And then he gives excuses like, I'm just worried about you, or maybe I don't trust those friends. If you want to dress in a certain way, then he says, I don't like when you dress like that because men stare at you. That is controlling, disguised as protection. And before you realize it, your world gets smaller. You lose friends, then also your confidence dips. Because now you will begin relying on this man for everything, like advice on what to do. You'll be wanting him to approve most of the things just because he's controlling you. And then you lose your confidence as a woman. Real protection empowers you, but control limits you. and there is a big difference in that. Then also financial and emotional dependence. Let's talk about money, because people love to pretend this part doesn't matter. There's nothing wrong with an older man having money or wanting to provide, but the danger is when you can't function without them. If they pay for everything and make all decisions or constantly remind you of what they have done for you, that is leverage, not generosity. There are such people. When they do for you something, they want to keep on telling you, I did for you this, I've done for you this. You become kind of insecure. A healthy relationship gives you security and independence. And if you feel stuck because leaving him may ruin your lifestyle, that is a real problem. And it happens so often. And then there's also social isolation and outside opinions. This is another red flag that people ignore. If everyone around you, friends, family, people who love you, are concerned, it doesn't automatically mean that they are wrong. And not all criticism is valid. But if your partner encourages you to cut people off because they don't understand or are jealous, that is dangerous. Because isolation is how unhealthy dynamics survive. Another thing is you need to ask, why do some older men want to date younger women? Why does he want to date you, a younger woman, and not go for his own age mate or people around his age? Because some older men date younger women because they genuinely connect. Others do it because younger women are easier to impress, easier to control, and less likely to challenge them. So ask yourself, does he respect your opinions or tolerate them? Does he encourage your growth or fear your independence? It's not totally that age gap relationships don't work, but that can work when both parties have a voice, when boundaries are respected, when the younger person is still encouraged to grow, evolve, and change, and when power is acknowledged and not exploited. A healthy older man doesn't want to own you, they just want to walk beside you. So age itself isn't the villain, imbalance is. And if you're dating older and you feel confident, free, respected, and still fully yourself, that is a good sign. But if you feel smaller, quieter, controlled, or dependent, listen to that feeling. Your intuition knows before your brain does. Yeah, so with that, I'll end this reaction here. Let me know in the comments, what do you think? Are age gap relationships misunderstood, or are the warnings valid? And if you liked this video, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and let's meet in the next one.